Regional weekend is here, beginning on Friday all the way through Monday for games that are necessary. We'll see. It's a double elimination bracket. 4 teams across 16 different sites all throughout the country. Kyle Schassburger and David Kahn with you to break it down more in depth. We'll do a little bit of word association here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers, all brought to you by Baseball Barbecue. Go to baseballbarbecue.com/CSN. A myriad of different items, including grill tools, T-shirts, apparel. Kahn and I will give you more information on that and how you can get hooked up ahead of Father's Day. But there is material and items for your favorite ball boy or ball girl. But Kahn, we got stuff to do. We have been so busy. Okay, my brain, I feel like I am more overwhelmed than I was preparing for Hoover at this point. Just trying to, get in tune as best I can with 12 baseball teams going to the Hoover Met. This time we've got 64, or at least 16 regions that we're trying to keep tabs on. And we've got a unique way that we're going to be bringing coverage of this phenomenal event, the opening weekend, the regional weekend of the Division I Baseball Championship, with a NCAA baseball regional rundown show that will be unique to the Varsity Network app. So I'm overwhelmed, man. That's the story of my life. But, we're here to podcast. We're here to talk a little bit about it. But, two, we need to, pat ourselves on the back and toot our own horn for where our listeners and where the college baseball fan in general, who may not already know, can best follow all of the action this weekend. And we're going to be doing something new in partnership with Westwood One of the NCAA. We're bringing you a whip around red zone-like show. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. I am also, frazzled right now in terms of my brain. Looking forward to hopefully getting some normal amount of sleep tonight, because I haven't done that the last few nights, whether it's been worrying about this show or working on this show. It's been a huge endeavor. Excited that it's happening. Thank you to the NCAA and Westwood One for granting us the right to do this show as well. We're thrilled about it. It is a lot. We have been tracking down broadcast feeds like fiends. I mean, we have just been kind of nipping at the heels of everybody that we can reach out to and say, hey, we want to do this show. We want to include you on this show. Like, give us your feed. Let us include you on this. And so far, everyone has been so receptive. I think we're at 48 of the 64 teams that we have a broadcast feed for, and we can only get to 50 because 14 of them don't have a broadcast. So we are 2 away from perfection right now in terms of teams that we can get for the field. We're touching all 16 regionals. There's only 2 regionals right now where we don't have a feed for more than one team. So we're going to have every single game throughout the entire week. For the most part, there might be a couple. If some losers brackets, winners brackets break out the way that we think they will, we may not have 1 or 2 games throughout the weekend, but we can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Friday through Monday, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. You've got me. You got Kyle Schassburger. You got Gabe Genovese, Dan Kortz, Paul Roper. We're all going to be a part of this. So tune in. It's a first of its kind, unique show. You think NFL Red Zone, but college baseball on the radio for regionals. We're going to be absolutely zooming around, getting every single broadcast we can, and we're going to have Westwood One's coverage of the Women's College World Series as well. So a lot to get to in what seems like a long time, 8 hours every single day, but it's going to fly, and I'm excited for it.
No doubt. David Kahn, myself, Kyle Schassburger, Gabe Genovese, Dan Kortz, and Paul Roper will all be a part of that coverage doing the heavy lifting. Again, 3 to 11, Friday through Monday. It's like the Red Zone channel on television for the NFL, but for radio, we do something during the college football season, if you're familiar. It is called the College Football Blitz, where we do radio drop-ins on all of these different high-profile games, all of the biggest games, and some even much smaller, during the regular season. But, we want to give credit where credit is due and show some love from every corner of the country. And with college baseball and the postseason tournament getting underway, this is something truly unique, never before pulled off, never before thought of. We've gone through all the red tape, all the proper channels. We've been collecting all of these feeds, as Kahn mentioned, sending, dozens upon dozens of emails because, half the field is represented by yours truly, and that is Learfield. But, still we hold good relationships, so we think, well-working, constructive relationships to be able to hit up others and say, hey, you want to be a part of this or not? And nobody has said no to this point. So with 50 potential feeds that we can access, being 2 off is just incredible here, as we're, 27 hours away from liftoff with this thing on Friday. So Varsity Network App, You can listen to all the school-specific broadcasts, even the Westwood One broadcast of the Women's College World Series, which is getting underway on Thursday, today, as we record on the eve of the regional weekend getting underway on the Diamond. And we will provide some drop-ins for that as well. So it should be an awesome product. Delighted, honored to be able to put that together and bring that to you this weekend. And Kahn and I are here to talk about it some more. Some of these individual matchups, these pods, some of the lower seeds that might be most likely to make a run or most capable, if you will. I've got one in particular. And Kahn, before we start off, let's remind folks, I mentioned Baseball Barbecue off the bat, but baseballbarbecue.com/CSN. Helping empower our postseason coverage here for the NCAA Tournament, Regional Weekend, Super Regionals, and the run to Omaha. They make pad and baseball bat handle barbecue tools licensed for the best teams in college baseball. They have 8 of the 16 regional hosts that you can find this licensed memorabilia, if you will, these items, these cutting boards, these grill tools. The grill tools include things like a forkball fork, a pick-off bottle opener. They've got a split-finger tong, the slider grilling spatulas. You can get combo sets. You can curate all of this in different ways. It's pretty cool, high-quality stuff. There's even some shirts and some hats, and we've got that care package on the way. Can't wait to don some of that.
We can't wait. It's going to be here hopefully next week, we think, and we will be adorning ourselves with these packages. We'll be doing some cool videos showing off the baseball barbecue tools that we'll be getting, because we got some grill tools as well, and some custom merch coming as well. So we won't say much more than that, but we'll show it off to you when we get it. It's on the way. We can't wait. What better way to enjoy regional weekend, Schass, than by grilling with some really cool grill tools, adorning some very nice, unique shirts that, some of the ones that I saw on their website that I like. If you grill it, they will come. Yes. Raw Talent, Grillies, Hot Grill Summer. They're all just very, very well thought out phrases, really cool designs. Go on their website, baseballbarbecue.com/CSN to support us as well. And get yourself some shirts, get some grill tools, and fire up the grill this weekend. Going to be great weather, it seems like, throughout the country for the most part. We pray for no rain, please, especially for the show that we're doing. We don't want to have to go into rain delay coverage on the regional blitz. That would be really tough. Fire up the grill, get some grill tools out, wear some baseball barbecue gear, and enjoy this fantastic regional weekend. It is the best weekend of college baseball because there's so much going on all the time. And fired up.
Find them on Instagram at baseball_barbecue, on Twitter and X at baseball barbecue. That's where you can find us at SportsCon4 at Kyle Schass. But most importantly, as you said, Kahn, baseballbarbecue.com/CSN. Don't forget that /CSN if you're going for any Father's Day items. Again, there's female apparel, there's other things. Women grill too, okay? And if you grill it, they will come. And we're grilling up some good regional content right now. So let's start with word association. Now, Kahn, I gave you homework. All I said was word association. And in typical Kyle Schassburger fashion for 1 through 16, I suppose we kind of go in order, maybe work left to right on what stands out with each region. But I went above and beyond in a way that I know your little pea-sized brain. No, I'm kidding. You have a melon-sized brain. I'm the one with kernel-sized brainwaves, okay, flowing through my upper egghead, as I am known with much affection around these parts. At least that's what my girlfriend, she calls me an egghead. So
you are.
I did song association.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
a song to represent each winner coming out of these 16 regions. So I went
just
above
for
and
your
beyond.
Winners.
Yeah, just for my winner. Well,
this is you're going to pick the region.
It represents the bracket, kind of the feel, the mood, the theme, but ultimately it's going to most benefit. The lyric is most going to be tied to, connected to the winner coming out of each site. So shall we get started? You want to start with the top seed, Tennessee?
We did. In all honesty, I'm doing this completely off the cuff because I did not do the word association homework. I heard you say it, and then I
in
forgot.
One ear and out the other. Well, I'm the guy that doesn't look at the doc until it's time to record. So
I did everything else prep-wise. I just did not actually do the word association, so this is completely off the cuff. So go ahead. Kick us off, buddy.
Okay, well, Tennessee's kind of boring because it's just Rocky Top. There's going to be tons of Rocky Top layering. This doesn't take a lot of thought, and I have a similar example of this as we move down the bracket as well. But, I do feel bad for Southern Miss as a 2. The Sun Belt champion, the Sun Belt tournament champion, to have to go to Knoxville and have a super regional rematch right off the bat with the Volunteers, who are a runaway freight train, maybe even more balanced potentially than they were with that record-setting team a couple of years ago. And Tony Vitello, who showed up in Knoxville or in Hoover with his team and said, hey, look, we're going to go out there, and you and I talked about this off mic. We're going to go out there. We're going to play. If we win a couple games, we win a couple games. And they didn't have anything to gain in Hoover. No. But the fact that they lollygagged, if you will, and those are my words, they lollygagged their way into the title game after losing the first game by 9 runs to Vanderbilt when they debuted on Wednesday night in Hoover, to then get to Saturday, win their semifinal, a rematch against the Vandy boys, when you knew how much that meant to them after, this rivalry, in-state rivalry. Enough said. And Tony Vitello has really owned Vanderbilt the previous 2 years. That 9-run loss really affected them, where they came back with a vengeance. And then all of a sudden they're playing on Sunday, and it's like, okay, we're here. We might as well win it. And it was like, okay.
That's what he said. Tony Vitello said it as much. He literally said those words. We're here. We might as well win it all.
So the balance of pitching, the lineup has. Oh
my gosh!
If the lineup is menacing, yes, it is very destructive. Starting with Christian Moore, the All-SEC Triple Crown winner. Yes, his numbers were better inside Southeastern Conference play than Charlie Condon's, but between him and Billy Amick, who was 0 for 17 to hit the 3-run homer in the third inning against LSU in the championship game, a Clemson transfer. Who is, just raking Hunter Ensley, who's a freshman, and I think he was 4 for 4 in the title game on Sunday. Yeah. We haven't even gotten to Blake Burke. It's
the MVP of the tournament, the MVP of the SEC tournament. We haven't touched on him yet.
Cal Stark homered last week behind the plate. Then you got day off. You got Cannon Peebles. You can switch in the state. They just have so many different pieces, so many different dudes that can hit you in a multitude of different ways. Dylan Dreiling out of the left. Gavaris Tears was a first-team All-SEC tournament selection. They can hit you in so many different ways. And Southern Miss, while their pitching is certainly something to be noticed and acknowledged, and Billy Oldham has been sensational, and Slade Wilkes, they have vets, they're savvy. I get all that, but I don't think anybody can stand tall with Tennessee this weekend.
Here's my word association for Tennessee in the same vein as you, sticking with the musical theme. The Volunteers are knocking on Omaha's door again.
Ooh, there you go. I like that. Off the cuff, coming up with a banger right off the bat. I think that is
for Knoxville, Yeah,
I think so. That is very appropriate. If you don't have anything else to add in terms of breakdown,
yes,
because
I actually do. I just wanted to drop that first. Anyways, I agree with you. I think Tennessee is a freight train that is not going to be stopped here in Knoxville. They're going to go to the Supers. Despite the Supers rematch last year with Southern Miss and Hattiesburg, the Tennessee came back from losing game 1 to win games 2 and 3. You mentioned the consistency, though, of Southern Miss. I got to give the Golden Eagles their flowers. 8 straight years with 40 victories through a coaching change? That's super impressive. Slade Wilkes, 32-game hitting streak. Active. That's the longest active in D1 right now. So Southern Miss has some players. You mentioned Billy Oldham. Their pitching staff is sensational. Indiana, though, don't forget about Devin Taylor, all right? He is on a absolute mission right now. 6 homers in his last 10 games for the Hoosier Devin Taylor, who led the Big Ten in runs, 2nd in homers, and 9th in average. But, yeah, I got Tennessee. I got Tennessee in Omaha. I'm just going to put that out there right now. Nobody's beating this team.
Yeah, I've got Tennessee there as well, and I am looking forward to, if you will allow me to move on to the ECU, to the Greenville Regional, a Chase Burns return to Knoxville. I'm taking 2-seeded Wake Forest to win in Greenville. East Carolina is going with Zach Root in game 1, so they are holding out Trey Yesavage, assuming he is healthy enough to pitch. I don't know what kind of precedent is there for a collapsed lung. However, Cliff Godwin said he would be throwing this weekend, so it appears things are going to line up where we're going to get Chase Burns. I haven't seen Wake's release, but I don't know why you would start Chase. Like, go with Hartle. Do what you need to in the back. You should be able to take care of VCU. You should, okay? Mm-hmm. But again, this is a roll of the dice. These teams like VCU are coming in playing with house money. VCU, the 3, Evansville, the 4. So, they're going to throw their number 1 guy. But assuming Wake Forest can survive, and they should be able to against VCU, we're looking at a Savage Chase Burns matchup, and I don't see Chase Burns losing that. And I think Wake is playing with a certain chip. ECU has no business hosting. All due respect, we laid that out earlier this week. When you get swept at Tulane and you don't win the Clearwater Invitational, you have no business winning a regional host bid.
Clearwater Invitational. I love it.
You are so lucky. You are so fortunate to be in this spot. Yes, your fans are going to show out. The jungle is going to be rocking. Tickets sold out almost immediately. They sold out before they were even available. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
I know people who are Pirate Club members and couldn't even find tickets to this thing on Monday night or Tuesday morning before they even went on sale to the public on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So, good luck to you. But you're a team that is reeling. I mean, the backslide is so obvious. I can't be comfortable picking ECU in this spot. And Wake Forest preseason number 1, can't forget about them. They're slated. I mean, being the number 2 going to the 16 seed, that means, we're viewing them as like the highest rated 2 seed in theory. So, yeah, give me the Deeks, man. Give me the Deeks. And so the song would be...
Oh, yes.
REM's Man on the Moon, because I think Wake Forest is going to rekindle kind of that superhuman, supernova type vibe of like, hey, we're living in a world that was previously unknown in terms of their preseason number 1 ranking. All the shine, all the glitz, all the glamour. They were ahead of their skis a little bit. The expectation, although Tom Walter and the staff, and we did our takeover pod, our car wash at Wake Forest prior to the start of the season, they said they're embracing that. They hear what everyone is saying. Hey, we're the number 1 overall team. Like, let's go. We're going to take it on. Well, they fell short immediately in terms of reaching those expectations and playing up to what people thought they could be. So, they almost shot themselves. They put themselves on a rocket that had no destination, really. So now they've planted their flag. They've reasserted themselves, and they're in another universe in terms of like, hey, we're getting a second lease on life. Let's go ahead and do this. This is our place. We're not hosting, but we're in our own state. And we can make this as much of a home environment for ourselves as we can. I just think it's a new identity, a new approach, a new season, and they're going to feel like astronauts with the opportunity in front of them.
No, I love it. Here's the thing: this regional will come down to whether ECU's pitching is healthy, right? Trey Savage, Zach Root, Wyatt Shank, and Wyatt. His last name always trips me up, so I'm not even going to say it. You know who I'm talking about, though. He's been hurt
Runs
too.
For
he
did come.
Yes, that man. He just came back. Zach Root just came back. They look good, but in limited duty, and Savage hasn't pitched, and we already see Savage is probably being held until game 2 for a potential 1-0 matchup with Chase Burns, who leads the country with 184 strikeouts. If ECU's pitching is good and as good as it can be, they have a chance to win this regional. But without that, I don't think there's a team that is better built to win the regional than Wake Forest, who leads the regional in runs scored per game at 8.3. So I also like the Deeks to win against East Carolina. And of course, the storyline of Chase Burns going back to Knoxville. Like, come on. How can you not root for that? Like, sorry, ECU. I'd love for you to go to Omaha. I really would. But the storyline's too tantalizing to go to Knoxville for Chase Burns to return and possibly take out Tennessee. That would be in just straight up insanity. My word association is that the Deeks are going to go to Greenville and they're going to wake and bake.
Wake and bake. Genius.
That's it. That's all I got. Move on.
Let's move to the Norman Regional, shall we?
Okay.
Oklahoma. So ECU's the 16 overall, paired with the top overall seed in Tennessee. So in moving to Norman, we're looking at the 9th seed, the 9th overall seed in Oklahoma. And we're just looking at our bracket, left to right going down. Then we'll move to the right side. Oklahoma, the top seed, has 4-seeded Oral Roberts, 3-seeded UConn, and 2-seeded Duke. The other first-round matchup, running with the devil by Club Days Tour, because I'm going with 2-seeded Duke. Now, these are two. I feel so bad for Oklahoma because these are two teams that are pissed off. You talk about a chip. They've shouldered one of the largest boulders that a team can possibly put on their shoulders. And the Blue Devils getting spurned as a host. And I know I laid out why they weren't a host earlier this week. The non-con strength of schedule at 229, like I get that. I understand why they were left out. But when you look at ECU and the Pirates getting in, when not winning the Clearwater Invitational, when getting swept on by Tulane, losing to Duke in the midweek, and the Blue Devils making a run through the ACC tournament, it should have been Duke hosting. So Duke is coming in having to travel to Norman. Oklahoma, meanwhile, got slided of a top 8 overall national seed. They should have a super regional running through their house. So they're just as ticked off. But I think Duke, being the road warriors that I believe them to be, are going to come in with just a little bit more urgency. I think getting slided as a host altogether is going to ring with this program even more. I mean, the veterans that they have, the offense, the pitching staff, the bullpen. I mean, it's been onions all year, and this has been a top 5 team at times early in the season. And it seems like they've rounded in the form, or at least put it all together. And I think they can go on the road and brandish their man cards to Skip Johnson and company.
I would agree. Here is my thought on this whole regional. It's Duke's pitching. They, without Kyle Johnson, without Jonathan Santucci in the ACC tournament, did what they did in Charlotte. So impressive. Now, Santucci has only pitched 2 innings in May because of an oblique issue. He pitched a bullpen, apparently looked good, supposed to come back. That's a huge boost for them. Kyle Johnson, as I mentioned, didn't pitch in the ACC tournament. Again, rested arms, so helpful. And the fact that Chris Pollard can manage his staff the way that he did and still do what they did offensively, especially in the ACC tournament, winning that game against FSU in the final 16-4. I'm not even talking about their offensive lineup. I'm talking about the fact that their pitching is well rested. And I think 2021 Kevin Kopps is 2024 Charlie Bielenson for Duke. That's my prediction right now, that Bielenson is going to have a Kevin Kopps-like postseason run for the Duke Blue Devils this year. And I have Duke, or should I say Sir Duke, by Stevie Wonder, winning out of the Norman Regional.
Charlie Bielenson, 1.98 ERA, 7-3, and 32 appearances out of the bullpen. 32 appearances, 59 innings. 59 innings. He struck out 87 and walked just 17. Opponents hitting 175 off of him.
He could start a game. Like I would not be stunned if Bielenson finishes one game and starts the next day. Kevin Kopps did it.
Give him an opener.
Why not?
Give him an
Duke
opener.
loves to open. They love to do it. They're the Tampa Bay Rays of college baseball. Let them do it.
So Santucci and Johnson are both expected, or at least assumed, to be available and good to go this weekend in Norman. Santucci working himself back from an injury, 6 in 1 year, 1.30 ERA. Started 12 games this year. So, yeah. And then offensively, they have 7 guys, I think, with double-digit home runs. I mean, 7. Yeah, 7.
God.
Led by Zach Morris, who has 18. 18 for Morris. Ben Miller's got 15. Logan Bravo's got 17. 15 also for Devin Obie. Alex Stone has 13, and 13 for A.J. Garcia. They had 2 grand slams in the championship game against Florida State in Charlotte on Sunday. I mean, the offense is there. And I just think they relish. Duke fans reach out to me after they got snubbed on the host, and it's like, people are not giving us credit as a national brand. And even when they're watching the television broadcast, it's like people talk like Duke, like there's some, scrub is their words. Like that's a little dramatic, but people don't take the Blue Devils seriously. And I'm like, well, no, but they're not a blue blood baseball brand. And as a fan, I mean, you're crazy to begin with. I mean, you're going to assume, and you're going to, decipher that as a slight towards your school because it's not pro Duke. Like, I get that. I understand that. But Duke, that Chris Pollard and the Blue Devils, they're perfectly fine with that kind of treatment from the outside media, from the television, whatever. They'd rather fly under the radar. They'd rather not be a host. I mean, sure, they would love to host, and Jack Coombs was ready. Like, they were prepared to host. They wanted to host. They wanted to bring regional baseball to the campus of Duke. But the fact that they're having to get on a bus or get on a plane and go to Norman, they're perfectly fine and well with that. So it just adds to the motivation. So give me the Blue Devils. They're paired up with Tallahassee and Florida State. I'm taking FSU. This one's kind of simple too, no brainer. Just give me the war chant. Just give me the war chant. The Marching Chiefs. Just go ahead and pump the arm. Give me a little tomahawk chop. I think Florida State will take care of Stetson, the 4. That's our first game. Alabama's the 2 here, and UCF is the 3. I like the Seminoles, man. They just snuck in as the final national seed, as the number 8 overall seed. Florida State at 42-15. I mean, I'll put Sunday's championship game against Duke to the side, but 16-4 loss. But I like FSU.
I will say this. Watch out for Stetson as a 4 seed. They already have 2 wins over West Virginia. Yes, that was in the beginning of the year, but they won midweeks over Florida and Florida State. They have no problem beating the Seminoles. Now, yes, that was midweek, not weekend level rotation. They didn't face Jamie Arnold, and he's a stud. I get it. But Stetson also has a top 50 ERA in the nation. So they can pitch too. Alabama comes in. Series wins over Tennessee, Arkansas, LSU, South Carolina, all in the field of 64. They're battle tested. However, FSU has Jamie Arnold on the mound and James Tibbs, the ACC Player of the Year, who has nearly as many home runs as he does strikeouts, Schass. James Tibbs has 25 homers to 26 strikeouts. That is absurd. So I also like FSU, and in deference to the tornado that ran through Tallahassee and messed up the Seminole Stadium, my song association is Seminole Wind by Luke Combs. Give me Florida State.
I like that. That's a unique one. I love me some Luke Combs. All right, so we're both on board with FSU there.
We are.
Let's move to Fayetteville. Top seed is Arkansas, hosting again. Overall record of 43-14, number 5 overall national seed. Bachman Turner taking care of business. I think this is among the easiest roads for any regional host team in getting through their respective regional. They'll have SEMO as the 4 seed, 3 seed of Kansas State, 2 seed of Louisiana Tech. We'll square off in the other matchup. So I'm on the Hogs. Now, I don't know about moving if things shape up the right way for them, and let's say Mississippi State comes out of Charlottesville, teaser, I'm picking Mississippi State to come out of Charlottesville, and you get an all-SEC super, I think Arkansas can find their way into Omaha. But if they were to run into somebody like, Clemson or Wake Forest or Tennessee or even LSU, the way they're playing now, I don't like Arkansas's chances. But I think this is a favorable pod for their regional hosting, and then even a potential super. And I think all the concerns about their offense, they are legitimate. They're bottom. They're the 12th worst, or 12th best, I guess you could say, 3rd worst batting average among all SEC teams. It's right around, I think, 270. They can't hit, but their pitching is there. Now, I know they just totally wrote off Hoover. Hagen Smith was on a pitch count. He went 2 innings through 37 pitches, gave up 2 runs. They were unearned, right? Yeah. So in Hagen, I trust. I don't think they need to throw him against SEMO. And I think this team has just been kind of bored with everything up until this point. And that's probably the best way to put it. Like, they're just waiting to get to the postseason to pounce. And this is their time. And I think they're going to be able to flex at Baum-Walker, where they've won 33 out of 36 games. They're 1 win away from matching an all-time home wins record. I mean, that place is going to be unhinged, especially after they fell in the fashion they did last year when TCU came out of Fayetteville. I don't think a team like Arkansas is going to drop back-to-back regional opportunities at home.
I think this is the easiest regional matchup for anybody. I think Arkansas is going to absolutely hog tie every single team that they face, whether it's SEMO, whether it's Kansas State, whether it's Louisiana Tech. I don't care who they have. Arkansas's got the best pitcher in the nation in Hagen Smith, and he's going to unload. Like that 1-0 game when Arkansas beats SEMO and faces K-State or Louisiana Tech, Hagen Smith will probably throw a complete game because they haven't thrown him 6 innings all year. They've been saving him for this moment. I think Dave Van Horn is finally going to let off the leash and say, dude, go. However far you can go. And he's going to wreck. And it's going to be in front of Baum-Walker. Arkansas's 33-3 at Baum-Walker Stadium this year, 1 shy of the record, I think, for home wins in Fayetteville for Arkansas ever. And they're not losing this weekend. Give me Arkansas. I have Arkansas going to Omaha. I really do. Doesn't matter. Virginia, Mississippi State. I don't care. They're going to Omaha.
They're seeking 11 super regional appearance. Did you say in the 1-0 game, like you expect Hagen to win that 9-inning complete game shutout in 1-0 fashion? Because I might have heard you wrong,
no,
but that very well could happen. If
game, meaning the teams that win their first game of the regional, the 1-0 matchup.
Yes.
I mean, he might do that again, like we had against A&M with Ryan Prager and him that A&M ended up winning. But
we agree Hagen is not needed for the first game. You would say
absolutely not. Oh my God, no! Throw Mason Molina, throw Brady Tiger, throw Will McIntyre. Who cares? Doesn't matter. You're gonna win that game. Your offense, they have enough offense. This is a pitching first Arkansas team. We know this. However, that benefits them in this regional actually, because the better pitching you have, the more likely you are to be able to win a potential 7-game regional bout.
And I think holding Hagen and unleashing whatever you need to from a pitching standpoint in game one, let's say for whatever reason, SEMO's able to, get after your staff, whether it's, Molina, Tigert hasn't thrown in a couple of weeks. Maybe you start Gage Wood, who has become the starter of the last couple of weeks, but you got the pieces in the bullpen from, Fouch to Gackle, whomever, McIntyre. You do whatever you need to do in game one is what I'm getting at. And then with Hagen starting game two, based on how many different arms you used in game one, that might define or determine then, or give Dave Van Horn no choice to let Hagen cook past that 6-inning mark, which you and I both anticipate he's going to do anyways and should, because he's never gone more than 6 innings. But there might not be a choice depending on if they do run into trouble against SEMO, because you're going to use every arm, everyone and their mother, if you do run into trouble, and you have everyone's moms standing by to be able to take the baseball and throw. And then you have to, then DVH okay, at least he can justify then moving Hagen or allowing Hagen to throw past the 6th inning, which I think is going to happen anyway. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
Easiest regional. What do you think in Charlottesville? I've got Ride This Train, Mississippi Delta Land, Johnny Cash song, because this is just going to be like an alternate universe, psychedelic type experience, culture shock type event where Mississippi State's going to bring all those crazy fans from Stark Vegas, maybe 13,000 that would be at Duty Noble, and they thought they got snubbed on a hosting spot. I think it was the right call. They needed to at least get to the semis to make it interesting. But, overall, Mississippi State lost 21 games. That's a lot to be considered as a host. Good SEC record. You win a couple games in Hoover, I get it. But Virginia, the number 1 seed here, 12th overall, 41-15. I think the Mississippi State fan base, those that come, and they're going to travel, and there will be some room for them because Virginia's got some nice digs. And for an ACC ballpark, the history, the national championships, all of that. And at Charlottesville, I just think the Starkville fans of the SEC centering their lives for a weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia, is going to create this culture shock phenomena. But they will be very appreciative, at least of the ballpark that they are going to. I'm not sure LSU fans can say the same thing of the Bosch in North Carolina, simply because I don't know if they're going to be able to fit all of the Baton Rouge natives and Louisiana natives that are coming up for a place that seats, just over 4,000. But I think the vibes of Virginia, I think Mississippi State fans are really going to appreciate the kind of baseball setting that Virginia has. But they're also going to inflict significant damage, I think. The fans and the team, Mississippi State themselves. I'm going with the Bulldogs.
The cowbell will be rocking for sure in Charlottesville. However, this is where we disagree for the first time. Virginia, by the way, I should mention, one of 5 teams in this field that is hosting in back-to-back years: Clemson, Arkansas, Kentucky, Oklahoma State, the other 4. Virginia, we've mostly been like, they're a pitching first team, and their offense kind of tries to clean up. They have some studs like Kyle Teal, Jake Geloff previous years. Like, we're like, oh yeah, those guys are going to hit home runs, and then the rest of the team will just figure it out. This is an offensive Virginia team. This is what they do. They just hammer the ball. And they had double-digit runs in 26 games this year. This team can flat out hit. And the fact that they are playing in their own ballpark, comfortable in their own yard, they're getting a field that includes 2 teams in St. John's and Penn. And then you got Mississippi State, who, yes, also feels like they should be hosting. They've got a couple of really good arms in Cal Steven and Durangelo Sainja, the switch pitcher who only threw right-handed in Hoover, but he can throw left up to 95, for righties up to 98, 99. They've got Cam Schulke, who we want to just see throw from every single angle he can, because I want to see Schass spaz live on the regional rundown, and it would be amazing. I just think Virginia's offense is going to be too much. I really do. I mean, Mississippi State, in that I'm anticipating a 1-0 game between Virginia and Mississippi State, where they're probably going to throw Sainja, because I think they're going to start with Cal Steven against St. John's. If they throw Sainja and Virginia can hit him, that's it. Because I think Mississippi State will keep themselves in the regional with their pitching abilities and their bullpen, which is really solid. But Virginia has a solid back end of the pen. They can hit like crazy. So give me Jordan Sparks. Virginia is for lovers, because I have the Cavaliers advancing to face Arkansas in a super regional.
Let's not discount Mississippi State returning to the postseason at the NCAA tournament. It's their 40th overall appearance, first since they won the national championship in 2021. Chris Lemonis It's got the train back on the tracks. The fan base is ecstatic. They will travel, as I've already indicated. And I wonder, I don't know if I have logical reasoning for this, but if you can go Senja game 1, I think Cal Steven might be a better fit against the Cavaliers in game 2. Now, I'd really have to drill down on the splits and in the control and the issues that Senja has had in his losses. But seeing both of those guys pitch last week in Hoover, I mean, they were both incredibly effective. Like, they were both amazing. But Senja, I just get the feeling that he's a little bit more prone to some command issues at times. He can go on a heater. I mean, he struck out 10, and I think it was 6 through 4 innings or 6 through 3 innings in Hoover in his lone outing. So, but Steven was great. So, we'll see if they decide to mix that up. Steven's always gone 1, Senja 2. Here for the most part, as best as I can remember. So, but that should be a lot. I think that backdrop in Charlottesville for Virginia and Mississippi State, should they meet in the regional final and have to play each other, potentially 3 times, that can be among the best theater across the entire tournament. So I'm excited for that. Let's move to the final pod. A couple of brackets, a couple of regional sites on the bottom left of your bracket as you see it if you're following along at home, and that is top-seeded Arizona, who is the 13th overall seed, features 2-seeded DBU, 3-seeded West Virginia, and 4-seeded Grand Canyon. With the Mountaineers and Patriots playing in the other game following Arizona and Grant. I don't have times in front of me, so we don't need to bog down people with that. Just go to NCAA.com.
I think it's 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, I think is what it is.
It depends on the home team. Do they want to play the first game or do they want to play the last
West Virginia's playing first. Arizona's playing second. I know that.
So Arizona is second. They'll have Grand Canyon. This is another no-brainer. For me, in terms of a word, well, I'm picking West Virginia, and the song is "Take Me Home." So the country roads will lead them back home from Tucson, from the desert, back to West Virginia. Give me JJ Weatherholt. Give me Randy Mazey in the farewell tour. I'm not going to wax anymore on a team that you know so closely. So I'll let you have the floor, my sir. But you think the most difficult regional, most difficult one to handicap? Okay,
absolutely. But my song is also "Country Roads, Take Me Home," because West Virginia is going home. They're not winning this regional.
Boom! Oh, the shade. I love it. The heel.
Hate it. I really do hate it, actually, but I had to come in with a surprise factor there. No, I've got Arizona, and I'm actually going with Cats in the Cradle as my song for this regional. Wanted to just do a little deke move, and I'm glad you started with Country Roads because it led me right into it. Yeah, Cats in the Cradle. Arizona's going to put the Mountaineers and the Patriots and the Lopes in a cradle, and they're going to move on, and they're going to host a super against, no surprise who I'm picking in the next regional. We're both picking them, LSU. Anyways, to talk about this regional, though, Arizona is the best strike-throwing staff in the nation. They only have a walk percentage just above 6. Their pitching staff is the best of this regional. Dallas Baptist, Grand Canyon, West Virginia can all hit the ball. They absolutely can. But how do you mitigate a really good offensive team? You have an incredible pitching staff, and that's what Arizona has. So I think Arizona's pitching will be the true X factor in this regional, and they are going to take out. If Arizona doesn't win, I think it's West Virginia, and when I do the D1 baseball bracket, I will pick Arizona 1 and West Virginia 2 because we get to pick a runner-up out of the regions. But I just think Arizona's pitching is going to be too much because when you look at Dallas Baptist, you don't have anybody else besides Ryan Johnston. West Virginia, really consistently, you don't have anybody else besides Derek Clark because Aiden Major's kind of been hit or miss. So is Tyler Switolski. So is Hayden Cooper. They lost their closer, David Hageman, for the rest of the year recently. That's their one injury they don't have anymore. They brought back all these guys, Grant Hussey, Logan Save, JJ Weatherholt, Brody Kresser, etc. And they can hit. They can absolutely hit the ball, and they're playing extremely well right now. I just think Arizona's pitching is going to be too much throughout the entirety of the regional, and West Virginia's bullpen is going to get a little taxed towards the end, and Arizona will win the regional final.
So you got them Cats, and as I had predicted or projected, the opportunity for Jay Johnson to return to Tucson with LSU coming out of Chapel Hill, which, yes, you and I are both picking 2-seeded LSUs who moved to the Chapel Hill Regional, North Carolina, number 4 overall seed. I am not saying it's going to happen at this point as I look at the bracket. I am saying West Virginia is going to come out of the Tucson Regional. You've got Arizona, which would line up with Jay Johnson's return to Tucson. We each got LSU. They're the 2 seed. They'll have 3 seed at Wofford in Chapel Hill. First game, did you tell me this right, in an Eastern time zone for an NCAA Regional? For LSU? Yeah, for LSU.
First time ever.
It's wild to think of. North Carolina will have 4-seeded LIU in game 2 the day on Friday. LSU and Wofford will tangle in game 1. This is calling on Baton Rouge. I mean, this is simple again. Yep. I mean, the fans are going to come out in droves. It'll be a culture shock type experience for those in Chapel Hill as well. The 7-time national champions and reigning national champions heading to North Carolina. Tommy White making his return to the state where his collegiate career started when he hit a freshman record 27 home runs with NC State. Jared Jones with 26 bombs. LSU 18-6 since Tennessee completed a 3-game sweep of them back in April. 37th appearance overall in 12 straight. Give me the Tigers. Now, North Carolina, best record in the regular season in the ACC. Coastal Division champs. Mm-hmm. And looking at their ACC ratings, I mean, number 1 ERA, 4.19. Just looking at their pitching, because I'm just curious how they're going to be able to corral this LSU offense, which can be explosive. You know, Tommy White had a fast start, but then really cooled off later in the week in Hoover. Jared Jones is home run or nothing, you know? So, like, 4.19 ERA, like, that leads the ACC. That should be doable if you can really contain the power bats of LSU. And here's the other nugget. The North Carolina pitching staff, UNC with 11 dudes on the All-ACC conference team. Vance Honeycutt, Defensive Player of the Year. But the pitching staff has allowed just 55 home runs all season, which is the lowest among all ACC teams. So we'll see if they can keep the ball inside the yard against those Tiger bats. I don't think so. I think LSU is going to be able to take advantage of the Bosch.
And the Bosch is hitter friendly for sure. Here's the thing. I'm really intrigued to see how Jay Johnson orchestrates his staff for this weekend, because if I'm Jay Johnson, I Johnny Holstaff game 1 against Wofford. I really do. I think you can do it with Ackenhausen. You can do it with Javen Coleman. You can't do it with our boy Christian Little. It sounds like he had a lat issue that forced him out of the championship game. Don't know how long he's going to be out for, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be available this weekend in Chapel Hill, which really hurts the LSU bullpen because he was pitching extremely well. You obviously got Griffin Herring, Gavin Guidry. You got a whole host of other guys, but I think you Johnny Holstaff the heck out of this first game. Just use your offense to overpower Wofford, and then you're set up to go Gage jump against North Carolina likely, and then Luke Holman game in the regional final. I mean, yeah, duh. Gage jump last 6 starts, by the way, 4-0, 2.13 ERA, 46 Ks to 5 walks in 38 innings. That's stupid. Vance Honeycutt, as you mentioned, best offensive defender, or best outfield defender, best defender, period, in the entire region. 14 defensive runs saved. That leads all outfielders across the nation for Vance Honeycutt. But I want to bring up a number about Tommy White that I actually think was surprising to me. He only has a strikeout rate of 12%. That's really low. For as big of a power slugger as he is, like you said, Jared Jones, strikeout or bust. Tommy White is not strikeout or bust. Not this year. 12% strikeout rate after, a guy who's hit, 27 his first year at NC State, 24 in back-to-back years at LSU. That tends to be a home run or bust guy, and he has not been the case this year. The one thing I will say to watch out for about Wofford is they can get on base and they can steal. They have the 8th best OPS in the nation, and they have the 6th most steals in the nation. They're 144 for 164. That's their numbers, stolen base-wise. That's insane. However, I don't think the Terriers get past LSU in game 1. And congratulations on your first regional since 2016, and prepare the buses to return home in short order.
Terriers lead the country in triples, second in scoring, 10.2 runs per game. Runs overall, 603 is a program record. They're also 3rd nationally in batting average. So, yeah, they can run and they can score, but they're coming out of the SoCon Conference. So 41-18,
Yeah.
12-8, second appearance, first since 2007. J.J. Edwards is one of just 4 first-year head coaches in the tournament. And then Long Island making their second appearance in 3 years, third time since 2018. Huge underdog. Maybe one of the biggest 4-seed underdogs among any of these regionals. Certainly one of, if you were to power rate them, I think they'd be 13th or worse, 13, 14, among the 4 or 5 worst 4 seeds. Here they are 9th nationally and scoring 53rd in walks, but good luck to you, good sir, Dan Perillo in his 8th season. So we each got LSU. Quick pin to remind people about the bracket challenge. We got about 20 minutes left in the pod, so we will tweet that out at Kyle Schass at SportsCon4. We already have done it at CS Now Tweets. Look for that link. Join us. Get involved. Bragging rights more than anything. Could there be a prize? Is that really going to incentivize you to join the bracket challenge? Come on. You want to make some picks. You want to feel high and mighty. Maybe I'll find something off my shelf at home and I'll, bubble wrap it and send it to you. I don't know. A prize to be named later. Does that make you happy? Are you going to join if I dangle a little cookie in front of your face and say, hey, I'll send you
Where
I'll send you a dozen chocolate chip cookies homemade from your boy. How about
it? They're so good. They're really good.
There we go.
Man, now I want to win even more.
A dozen cookies I will make for the winner. Okay. Organically, right from the egghead itself. Okay. Get to the bracket challenge at Kyle Schass and SportsCon4 at CS Now Tweets. I'll make you some cookies. Okay. Right side of the bracket. Top seeded Kentucky. Drake trophies. This is a Kentucky team that has never been in the spot, the number 2 overall seed, co-SEC regular season champs, made it to Friday in Hoover. Sure, I thought they might want to fill the trophy case and do what they can to win it, but again, they had nothing really to gain. They had nothing to lose last week, playing with house money, much like Tennessee, much like a lot of the teams in the SEC, and we saw that with all 4 teams losing on their first day on Wednesday and advancing to the elimination portion of the bracket in the SEC tournament, which had never happened before. But this Kentucky team has been so consistent all year long. They're getting 2-seeded Indiana State, who should be hosting. You can argue maybe they're the best number 2 seed, but right behind Wake Forest as Wake gets shipped up to Greenville. So the Sycamores coming in with a little bit of a chip. And then Western Michigan is your 4 seed. The 3 seed is Illinois. I don't see any real issues for Kentucky, Con. You saw more of them last week. You called their games. I didn't get a chance to call UK, but their mantra is let's get weird. And because of that, alone, I'm going to put them all the way in to the final 8 in Omaha. But in their second consecutive NCAA tournament, for the first time in program history in a super regional, will go through Lexington, unlike last year.
This regional just makes me want to kick back and have a little bourbon in Kentucky by Mr. Dierks Bentley. It's going to be my my song association here because, this is Kentucky. I mean, I hate it for the Sycamores. I really do. Mitch Hannes was so great on the podcast when we had him on. The Indiana State team that has still not lost an MVC series in 2 years now. Wish it was different for the Sycamores. Wish they could host in Terre Haute like they did last year. But this Kentucky team at Kentucky Pride Park, we talked about it when they had Tennessee in tow. That super regional type environment, Kentucky deserves to host a super regional, and they will, as they will come out of this regional. They've got the pitching. They've got Trey Poozer. They've got Mason Moore, even Dominic Nyman. Nick Lopez is one of the best hitters in the entire country, let alone the SEC. So, give me the Kentucky Wildcats out of the Lexington Regional to host a super against whoever comes out of Corvallis.
I've got Oregon State, the top seed, INXS, an Australian band for you, Mr. Travis Pizzana, because you can never tear us apart. Just when folks wanted to question your ability to be a regional host, you just barely slide in as the number 15 overall national seed. The 15, you get paired with Kentucky, and Pizzana has been an all-world player for you all year long, gets to play now a home regional. The Oregon State fan base, this stadium, this scene in Corvallis are going to be blessed with the most wonky geographical setup as well outside of UC Irvine. A quality Big West team who's there. You got a couple Louisiana teams in Tulane and Nichols who are going to be spending time there this week as well. But it doesn't matter. A ticked-off Beavers team is going to run through this pod. Sorry to you and your folks of Tulane, Mr. Kahn, but give me Oregon State. They might suffer a loss. Okay, they're not going to go undefeated. I think the Gauchos are good. I think Tulane should be able to handle Nichols, I believe. You know better than I, in a loser's bracket matchup. But I think this Oregon State's regional, and they should be able to cruise for the most part. It won't feature minimal turbulence like Kentucky and Tennessee, but never tear us apart. Oregon State, Beaver Fever. I got it. Maybe that's something I shouldn't brag about.
Probably not. All right. Anyways, my theme of the right side of this bracket, because this is not the only Oregon team that I'm picking. Tease.
Ooh.
Give me Oregon State on the Oregon Trail. Why have you still not played that game, Kyle Schassburger? Ridiculous.
Was that what the Tulane baseball account tweeted out? Okay.
SDA, Tulane baseball. Find it at Green Wave Baseball, BSB. Find it, watch it, love it, live it, play it. Unlike Schass, because he sucks at life. Just kidding. You don't.
I do.
But you should play that game. Oregon State wins the regional. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it for the Wave. I really do. Tough travel, West Coast. They flew. Them and Nichols shared a charter, by the way, to get out there. And they got delayed twice yesterday before they left to go out to Corvallis. But yeah, give me Oregon State, Travis Pisana. Beavers will then have to go to Lexington, by the way, to face Kentucky.
Watch out for Aiden May. 6-0, 2.59 ERA in 11 games this year. Got banged up early in the season at Globe Life in that early season showcase that featured Arkansas. I think that was actually the game that he had left. But yeah, man, I'm all about the junior Bizana. You know, his future in Major League Baseball is going to be so bright. I mean, he's the Oregon State all-time home run leader now. You know, Pac-12 Player of the Year, 3-time Pac-12 all-first team selection. So few have held that honor. So, yeah, this is the Oregon State Regional. So they move on. Let's go to Raleigh. NC State. I'm going with the Wolfpack, man, as the one. Not 2-seeded South Carolina, not 3-seeded James Madison, definitely not 4-seeded Bryant. Give me the Wolfpack, and with some shade towards North Carolina, but also, too, taking into account that South Carolina is there. Cue me up some James Taylor, Carolina on my mind.
Wow.
In my mind. Carolina in my mind. James Taylor.
Okay. So I also agree with you that North Carolina State, NC State, is going to win this regional. They're 25-7 at home. Really hard to go there and defeat NC State. So I do think that South Carolina is playing well right now. They obviously had their backs against the wall in Hoover. They made their way into the field. Hat tip to James Madison as well for being able to get an at-large bid into the field of 64. But I've got NC State and my song, Wagon Wheel. The intended destination is Raleigh, North Carolina, for the narrator talking about hoping to see his lover in Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh, North Carolina is the place to be, and Raleigh, North Carolina is where they will stay. NC State wins the regional.
Love that. 18 of the past 21 years for NC State in regionals. Elliot Avent, regional appearances 21 times during his coaching career, 7 regional host appearances. This is one of those 7. It's not a team that really has a lot of pizzazz or flash. You know, they're not going to, kill you in one area of the game, but steady Eddie, 5 consecutive series wins to end the year, sprinkle in 1-1 against Florida State because of the rain. And, yeah, they've just been a model of consistency. So South Carolina played some good ball this past week in Hoover. I saw a lot of the Gamecocks. You saw them as well, Kahn. But, other than Cole Messina and Ethan Petrie, I'm just not sure what you're going to get. You don't know the health of Gavin Casas. I wanted to lean SEC here as, yes, I will take it. I would acknowledge there are some heavy SEC homer tendencies from your boy. But I try to see through all that as best I can. And this is one of those. South Carolina was swept back-to-back weekends to end the regular season. I'm not going to be prisoner to the moment of what I saw this past week. I still have questions about them, and I think State just has the consistency. So,
if South Carolina's bullpen shows up, Ty Good, Garrett Gainey, Chris Veach, they're going to be a problem. But I don't think they have enough hitting besides Petrie and because Gavin Casas is hurt. We don't know how he's doing. Besides Petrie and Cole Messina, Parker Noland, he's supposed to step up. And yeah, so we'll see. I'm going with the Wolfpack though.
All right, so I've been
go to Athens.
I've been pretty chalky to this point. I've had 4 2 seeds on the left side. I've been nothing but 1 so far through 3 regionals on the right side of the bracket. I've got a 2 in Mississippi State, a 2 in Duke and Wake Forest. I did mention a 3 in West Virginia winning Tucson, but here's maybe my biggest number 3 selection.
Do it.
And it comes out of the Athens Regional. 3-seeded UNCW, who was dealt.
They're the 2 seed.
Oh, I got them as a 2?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Misread. Not a 3. They are a 2. The 3 is my West Virginia, though. I wrote them down as a 3, so thank you, Kyle. Good checking. But I am taking UNCW. I feel like there's too much shine that is being placed on Georgia and Georgia Tech. Georgia is not on my mind, according to Ray Charles, so I'm going with UNCW. Give me the Seahawks. They were dealt a bad hand a year ago, having to face Coastal, having to face Duke. Ryder was in that one as well in the Conway Regional. So give me the 2-seeded Seahawks. I wrote them in as a 3. Apologies, okay? I'm human. But they are a 2 seed, and they will come out of the Athens Regional.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny you say that because I had Georgia for basically the entire time doing this podcast, and I was just sitting there staring at my notes about the Athens Regional going, why am I going chalk with Georgia? I don't think Georgia's going to win this regional. But I kept staring at it being like UNCW, Georgia Tech, and I kept finding reasons why I shouldn't pick them. But everything in my brain is saying go UNCW, and for some reason my heart was saying go Georgia, and I don't really know why. I mean, Charlie Condon's had a phenomenal season, but you look at the teams that are in this regional. UNCW, most wins for their program since 2018. Army, 6th straight regional appearance for a 4 seed. That's pretty stout right there. They haven't won a regional game since 2018, but still they've been here, done that. And then you look at Georgia Tech. Danny Hall, the all-time winningest coach at Georgia Tech, their 4th regional appearance in the last 5 years. They've won 5 of their last 7 ACC series. They got the ACC Freshman of the Year in Drew Burris. They can hit like crazy. Georgia Tech's pitching is rough. All 3 of their starters with ERAs near 6. Otherwise, I would pick Georgia Tech. But I think I like UNCW as well. Tanner Thatch, the co-player of the year in the CAA, single-season home run mark in the conference, 27 dingers. I think he's going to carry them with Randy Hood over Charlie Condon and the Bulldogs, who I know we only saw 1 game from them in Hoover and they didn't care about it, but we were so high on them, and then they lose 2 of 3 at home at Foley Field to Florida, so they're susceptible to losing at home, and then they go 1 and done in Hoover again. Nothing about that team made me want to go, oh yeah, they're an Omaha team. No, so UNCW it is. Ride the Wilmington wave.
Trying to get back to a super. Georgia is for the first time since 2008. And yeah, this region with Charlie Condon, most exciting player, best player. I get that. I understand all of that. But UNCW might have the best bullpen. They might have the best pitcher and RJ Sales. Jack Kroom defensively at the hot corner. I mean, he's spectacular. And, looking at Army, I was looking at some of the previews. Army might have actually the best rotation here, but they're probably not going to win a game. So give me UNCW. I think their pitching is best built top to bottom, depth wise to be able to come out of this. And yeah, I'll take the Seahawks. So they're going to go up against NC State as I pick. Let's move down to the final quadrant, if you will, with the Clemson Regional, the Stillwater Regional. I'm going to go with 2 of the number 1 seeds. I'm taking Clemson. I'm taking Oklahoma State. For Clemson coming out on top in a pod reaching. That includes Vanderbilt the 2, Coastal the 3, High Point the 4. This is Last Dance with Mary Jane for Gary Gilmore, number 1. But also the legacy ties that are involved here between Eric Bakich and Tim Corbin, who coached together under the legendary Jack Leggett, who will be in the Clemson Tigers dugout when they both were at Clemson. Bakich was an assistant under Corbin at Vanderbilt. I mean, the family ties here, the dance that these two are going to have, in addition to having one of the deans, one of the all-time greats in Gary Gilmore, say farewell to his career. This is his swan song. Unexpectedly, he was ready to go have a cocktail on the beach, and he's still in a regional. Coastal, got in. And I think it's going to be entertaining. Vanderbilt, I wanted to pick the Commodores based on what I saw in Hoover, but much like, my argument in going against South Carolina, I don't think there's enough there to trust that they can put it all together. And, Clemson has, just been so lethal in so many different phases the entire season. I'm going to go with the Tigers. I like them coming out. High Point, though, is a difficult four. Like, this is no easy draw, for Clemson in game one. High Point making their first appearance.
Yes, they are. My song, Visit Me in the Music City.
Going with the Vandy boys.
Going with the Vandy boys. Clemson has lost their last 5 regionals at home that they have hosted. And you know who 2 of those winners were? Vanderbilt. 2017, 2018, Vandy went into Doug Kingsmore Stadium and took it right to the Tigers. And they're going to do it again. Give me Vanderbilt. Now, huge question mark. Carter Holton didn't pitch in Hoover, even though Tim Corbin said he was available. Is he available? How good will he be? How long will they stretch out Ethan McIlvain, who pitched 1 inning in the semifinals on Saturday? 2 huge question marks. If those 2 are good, then they can reutilize Bryce Cunningham, J.D. Thompson, Devin Futrell, who are all good in Hoover, and have if those 5 are available, I mean, there's no better pitching staff in that regional than Vandy by far. So give me Vandy. Pitching gets right. Offense does just enough. They move on to the Supers. And sorry, I agree with you. Oklahoma State and Stillwater in another very tough regional. Nebraska Big Ten tournament winner. Florida has an Ole Miss type story to them if they can, put it all together. And Niagara, congratulations for making it, but that's it.
Niagara, I believe, is first time participant for Rob McCoy and Niagara. Captured their first MAC championship over top seeded Fairfield. But yeah, they're likely going to go 0-2. Florida is an elixir. They're a wild card at 28-27, 1 game over 500, just sneaking in to the field. 16 straight tournament appearance. That is second nationally to Vanderbilt's streak of now 18 consecutive bids. Nebraska and Will Bolt. How about the 5 straight wins for them entering regionals as they lost on day 1 of the Big Ten tournament? Became the first team to lose day 1 and then win 5 games in 5 days to earn their first ever tournament championship. 18th appearance overall, first since 2021. I was starting to lean Nebraska, but then I'm looking at Oklahoma State, and I'm like, okay, when were they last in Omaha? Oh, snap. They have 20 appearances in Omaha overall. Josh Holiday has gotten the Cowboys to the NCAA tournament every single year he's been there. He's in his 12th season. He's an alumnus.
2012.
Yeah, he played there. This is their 49th tournament appearance overall. That's tied for 3rd all time with Miami behind Texas and Florida State. So all of this postseason success, but they were last in Omaha. It's been 8 or 9 years since 2016. I think this Oklahoma State gets to Omaha.
I do too.
35th conference championship after beating Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game this past Saturday at Globe Life. I like them so much that I am putting them in Omaha, and they're the first team for me to say that about them. We've been through 14 regions to this point. So I don't even know how it shakes out. Oh, I've got them facing UCSB, okay, the top seed of the Santa Barbara Regional. But for Oklahoma State, it's Oklahoma Smoke Show. Zach Bryan, enough said. Move them into the Supers. Hell, move them into Omaha. I'm putting the Cowboys down right now as part of the Final 8.
Yeah, lock that in. I'm here for it. I totally agree. Oklahoma State, I have them in Omaha beating Vandy. Oklahoma Smoke Show is a perfect song. Giddy up, cowboy. Let's go. Let's go to the Santa Barbara Regional, UCSB. I already dropped my pick, so I don't need to say any more. Oregon. Quack, quack, baby. Duck, duck, goose. Give me the Ducks.
Okay, so you got them winning in Santa Barbara.
Yep.
I've got UCSB moving on. California love Tupac. We got to represent Cali the right way, and I think the Gauchos will be able to do that as the number 14 overall national seed. They will have top-seeded Texas A&M in the College Station Regional. I've got them prevailing there over 2-seeded Louisiana, 3-seeded Texas, and 4-seeded Grambling. And we didn't hear a lot of this song last week, but I think you're going to hear a lot of it with all the trains in the background and, the bubble machine, the ball 5 and ball 6 chant and everything that comes with it. There's going to be a lot of rattling bog. going on this weekend in College Station.
Wrecking ball.
Olsen Field, the Bluebell Park, Texas A&M moving on to take on Santa Barbara. A&M went 0-2. Disappointing 0-2 last week, but again, they were pretty much already locked in. Didn't care. Third overall national seed. Gavin Grohovac did homer a couple of times in the final game for the Aggies. He still kind of had a tough series, some tough plays at third, made a couple of errors, but I believe in this team, the personality, the character, Jim Schlossnagel, the start line, the front line pitching. You know, we didn't see a lot of them because they only played 2 games. So I think they're going to be well rested, much like Arkansas. Okay, those two didn't want to be there last week. They just showed up. Now it's the main event, and we're here. And Texas A&M and Arkansas are both Omaha teams for me. I'm going to go ahead and move Texas A&M in there as well. So I'm going to work backwards here quickly. Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, each Omaha teams. Kentucky, NC State, both Omaha teams. You're with me on those 4?
Agreed. 100%.
Right side of the bracket is set. We agree. I'm going to move to the left. I'm going to start bottom, move up. I'm going LSU back to Omaha.
I am too.
Arkansas.
Yep.
Give me the Dukies.
We agreed. All 8. Because I'm sure you have Tennessee. You don't have Wake Forest beating them.
I got Tennessee.
Yeah, we have 8 for 8. All of us the same. Exactly what I had.
Amazing.
Tennessee, Duke, Arkansas, LSU, Kentucky, NC State, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M. That's what I got. By the way, for all you degenerates out there, the betting favorite is Texas A&M. Just going to drop that in there right here at the end. The betting favorite is to take the Fighting Aggies to win the College World Series. So this would be really cool for a lot of reasons. You got Kentucky. We've already talked about them when we did our Nomaha draft. For them to get there, that'd be amazing. NC State, of course, after what happened a couple of years, they're unruly, usherings out of Omaha with the whole COVID situation. Oklahoma State has been there since 2016. Texas A&M would be the second time for Jim Schlossnagel. LSU, the defending national champions, after how they started SEC play at 3-12, winning 18 of their last 24 to open postseason play, and then getting back to Omaha, that'd be insane. Arkansas, the team that hasn't won it for Dave Van Horn, they have as good a chance as anybody. Duke is trying to bust through that super regional door. They haven't been able to do it. They're finally going to be able to do it. And then Tennessee, back-to-back years going to Omaha, this time as the number 1 overall seed, would be tremendous. It would be tremendous theater. We would have 5 SEC teams, 2 ACC, and 1 Big 12 if this field makes it to Omaha.
I like it, man. That's I'm not necessarily surprised or shocked that we each landed on the same 8, but we just workshopped that in real time. So there was no previous discussions over that. So we agree 100%.
Yeah, that's it.
There
it is. I had it written down the whole time. 8 for Omaha, baby.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought that much more into it other than regional weekend. But, as we've been talking for 67 minutes now, going on the 68th minutes of this podcast, I'm comfortable and confident I can now complete my bracket challenge. That link will be available at Kyle Schass, at SportsCon4, at CS Now Tweets. Look for it. Go on Twitter. Go on X. Join us. I will send the winner. I will prepare freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. A dozen of those will be bubble wrapped and sent your way with love and tending care from your boy, one egghead Kyle Schassburger. I've got you.
I'm going to win so that I can get those cookies because I've had the cookies before and they're really good. And now I'm going to win. I want to win real bad. Although if we agree on the same 8 for Omaha, that's a problem because then I have to pick a different team than you in the finals to win. And
somebody will beat us, man.
I kind of know who you're going to pick already, so I might have to pick against you. Okay. So we'll see what happens.
Can we go and get our CSN tattoos, Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers tattoos now?
You mean like Grambling?
Yeah.
Shout out to Grambling State. The tattoos. What is it? Hell Baby? Is that what they're going with? I think that's what it was. Yes. Some teams do playoff beards. We do tournament tattoos. Hashtag Hell Baby We Grambling. And they got 2024 SWAC champ, and it says Hell Baby right there on the wrist. So I'm not a tattoo guy myself. I know you have a couple. I don't like needles. But
Needles.
That's really cool. That yeah, that's really, really cool. So let's go.
That's all I got, man. That's all I got. Let's put a pin in it there. I'm exhausted. I need to go. I'm going to try and jump in a pool tonight. I'm going to go to the gym right now, get my daughter from school, practice a little bit of softball. She's been off this week because of the holiday, gearing up for the postseason tournament that will begin next week. And this is some of the limited time that I might have remaining this week outside of Saturday, which I'm taking off. You're going to take off Sunday. But we've got this regional rundown show that's going to be off the chain. So make sure you follow that Varsity Network app, 3 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern, starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Kahn, myself, Courts, Genovese, The Rope Show will all be part of this. Follow us on the Varsity app all weekend long. It's red zone channel type stuff. It's a whip around. We're going to have drop-ins across all these school-specific broadcasts all around the country as we track all of the activity across the 16 regional sites this weekend. And we'll help to determine our super regional matchups, and that starts Friday, 3 to 11 through Monday. Am I missing anything there? Just download the Varsity Network app. That's the best way to follow. You can go to the varsitynetwork.com as well, but get the app on your phone. It just makes life so much simpler. And again, if you don't have the app, you and I are already scheduled to be in a dark alley somewhere. And no chocolate chip cookies for you, even if you do win the bracket challenge. I will renege on my chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, and when you do meet in that dark alley, Kyle Schassburger will grab your phone violently and show you how to download the Varsity Network app so that you can listen to all of our coverage. School-specific broadcast with the regional rundown show as well. Can't wait for it. And also subscribe to @CSNowTweets. Thank you.
@CSNowTweets, @KyleSchass, @SportsCon4. Find the bracket challenge link. Get in on that so you can get in the bidding for the cookies. And our thanks again to the folks at Baseball Barbecue. BaseballBarbecue.com/CSN. CSN. It spells College Sports Now. We're part of the College Sports Now podcast family. BaseballBarbecue.com/CSN. 8 of the 16 regional site hosts are represented. Licensed collegiate grill items. Okay? Grilling tools. Cutting boards. You even got a bottle opener. They call that the corkscrew bottle opener. The pickoff bottle opener. Beg your pardon. But all the grilling essentials that you'll need. Go to baseballbarbecue.com/CSN. If you grill it, they will come. David Kahn, it's been great. Catch you on the flip side. We'll talk later. We'll get this regional show underway tomorrow starting at 3 o'clock. And we'll be back next week at some point, likely Tuesday, to get you ready for Super Regionals with regional reaction coming up. This has been Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers.